Hey there, friends. Have you ever felt like your gut is having a full-blown panic attack after eating a completely normal meal? Well, you're not alone, and what I'm about to share could completely change how you understand your digestive system. I'm Dr. Michael Arthur, otherwise known as the Mind Belly Doc. And after helping thousands of IBS patients over the past decade and poring over the research, I've discovered why your gut might be overreacting to just about everything. Stay tuned because today I'm revealing why this happens, especially if you have IBS that's occurred in about 6 months or so after a food poisoning event or after having COVID or a viral gastroenteritis. And the breakthrough approach that is helping my patients finally break free from their symptoms without being stuck on supplements forever, I'm going to share it with you today. As a certified functional medicine specialist and a clinical hypnotherapist at the Center for Ultra Health since 2014, I've dedicated my career to solving one of the most frustrating digestive conditions: visceral hypersensitivity. We otherwise call it VH for short, because again, everything in medicine has to have an abbreviation or a mnemonic. But think of visceral hypersensitivity as your gut's alarm system going haywire. But here's what most doctors aren't telling you. It's not just about bacteria or food. It's about a complex communication network that's gone wrong. Today, we're diving into the real reason your gut overreacts to normal foods, the crucial brain-gut connection everyone's missing. It's a game-changing approach that combines science with mind-body healing and actionable steps that you can take today for real relief. Let me explain what's really happening in your gut using a simple analogy. Imagine your intestines have tiny rubber bands wrapped around them. We call these stretch receptors. In a healthy gut, these receptors send gentle signals to your brain when food or gas passes by them and actually it stretches them out or expands them. But here's where it gets really interesting, especially if you have SIBO or your IBS symptoms started after you've had a food poisoning or a GI illness. These stretch receptors start sending stronger signals, both to your digestive tract and your brain. And instead of little whispers, they're literally screaming at your brain. It's like having a car alarm that goes off when a leaf touches it instead of when someone's actually trying to break into your car. This condition makes recovery particularly challenging, and here's exactly why. For starters, you have an overactive gut-brain communication axis. Remember in past videos, we've talked about how your gut and your brain are connected by what we call the vagus nerve. Think of it as a superhighway for signals. And when you have SIBO or post-infectious IBS, this highway gets jammed with false alarms. The second reason that visceral hypersensitivity, or VH for short, is so challenging to heal from is that the actual nerve endings in your gut lining are oversensitized. Your gut lining is packed with nerves that control digestion. And when bacteria overgrow, as is the case in SIBO, EMO, and ESO, they produce toxins that can actually inflame and injure the nerves of the digestive tract. These nerves become hypersensitive, like a sunburn that hurts even when barely touched. Now, another phenomenon that we often see is what I call the diet trap. It's a bit controversial, but long-term restrictive diets like the low FODMAP diet or the SCD diet, they can actually make things worse by reducing bacterial diversity when they are followed for too long. So the very diet that helped you to feel better initially can actually make you sicker in the long run if you follow the restrictive diet for too long, because it makes your gut even more sensitive, and This makes it harder for you to expand your foods back out without experiencing a lot more in the way of bloating, pain, and discomfort. And last, but certainly not least, we have the stress spiral, where anxiety about eating creates a feedback loop. And the more stressed you are, the more intense your gut symptoms become, leading to more stress about eating. A fascinating 2017 study in the journal called Neurogastroenterology and Motility revealed something really groundbreaking. People with VH process pain differently. The network of nerves in the gut, often called the second brain, communicates constantly with your actual brain through something called the vagus nerve. And when you have SIBO and VH, this communication gets distorted. And patients with VH will have their brain's pain centers light up like a Christmas tree, even with normal digestive processes. The signs are clear. You might have visceral hypersensitivity if you experience any of the following: bloating that seems extreme after normal meals, pain that doesn't match what you ate, fear of certain foods or eating in general, or trouble with high fiber foods that others handle easily. If any of these signs sound familiar, listen up. Here's where the mind belly blueprint comes in. While other approaches focus solely on supplements or restrictive diets, we've discovered that healing requires a dual approach, calming both the gut and the brain. And through my work at Arthur Wellness and the Center for Ultra Health, we discovered that combining traditional gut healing with mind body techniques creates dramatically better results. This is precisely why traditional treatments often fall short. They focus only on the gut, completely ignoring the brain's role in your symptoms. And now you know that some of these dietary restrictions actually start to work against you over time, just reinforcing the problem with foods and making it harder for you to ever get back to a broader diet the longer you restrict your food items. I had one patient, we'll just call her Susan, and when she came to me, she had been diligently following the low FODMAP diet for over a year. Yes, you heard me right, over a year. My heart sank as she shared all of her research with me and her pride and how diligent she had been with her diet and all of her restrictions. Well, we got her on the fast track to diagnosis and quickly discovered that she indeed did have SIBO. And honestly, we were able to treat her SIBO in less time than it took to help her rebuild and expand her diet beyond the FODMAP restrictions. I was never so happy to be working with someone who was as diligent as Susan. And while we had cleared her SIBO in a matter of weeks, it took months of diligent and small incremental increases in her foods to help her tolerate the important dietary fibers she had been avoiding for so long. We had to resort to a few supplements to bridge the gap and help with the discomfort of reintroducing foods. But once Susan started using hypnotherapy recordings, her progress picked up more quickly, and she got back to eating foods like garlic, onions, and bread that she hadn't eaten for over a year. Now, Susan is a good example of what needs to happen in order to heal. Let's break down her healing strategy step by step. Susan was like a lot of the patients that I work with. When she ate problematic FODMAP foods, she experienced deep and severe pain. To call it a cramp or a spasm was an understatement. Before reintroducing foods, it was important for us to prime her system with the one probiotic that has been proven to lower visceral hypersensitivity in patients. Listen up, its name is a Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG. Now, this isn't just your typical Lactobacillus rhamnosus. It's super important that if you're listening to this now and getting ideas that you may want to get your hands on some Lactobacillus rhamnosus, that you pay particular attention to the full details of its name. Many of the better probiotics on the market will actually have a series of numbers and/or letters after its name. These probiotics are typically ones that have been best researched to support their use, and it's critical for you to understand that if Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG was studied, and then a product comes to market that has Lactobacillus rhamnosus in it, that this is likely not the same bacterial strain that was studied, even if the probiotic is making promises on its bottle or promises in its advertising that it is going to have the same impact as the well-researched and specific strain of that bacteria. It's really hard to know what you're getting when it comes to probiotics, as the vast majority of probiotic strains are not well researched and are definitely not researched in combination with some of these other probiotic strains out there. It's a horrible truth, but a truth nonetheless, that even some of the most popular brands out there are just selling you products that are a complete gamble for you and for your digestive tract. What helps or has helped your neighbor, your friend, your work colleague, or even the health food store employee down the street may not help you at all, or worse yet, may harm you, especially in the throes of SIBO. There are very few probiotics that are helpful for SIBO cases, but Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG is one of them. And in our experience, this probiotic strain, available as plain old Culturelle at most pharmacies and in Pure Encapsulations brand Pure GG25B, is very helpful for dimming the alarm signals commonly associated with visceral hypersensitivity. We like for patients to have this important probiotic on board daily or twice daily for at least 1 to 2 weeks before even starting the important work of restarting all of the avoided FODMAP foods. You can order Pure GG25B from our Fullscript store online. Our link and the 25% discount is in the description below this video. Now, once you restart foods, it's important to start low and slow with foods. And when I say low, we mean limbo low. We usually begin with tiny amounts, like baby amounts. Think half a clove of garlic or a tablespoon of yogurt, for example. Monitor for 24 to 48 hours before increasing the amount eaten at the next reintroduction. If tolerated, gradually increase your portion with your next reintroduction of that same food. Now, Susan did just that with her food reintroductions, and by keeping a chart, it helped her to recognize which foods were ones she could tolerate, even if they caused some bloating and gas as a result. It also helped to keep her organized with only reintroducing one new food or food group at a time. Doing more than one food reintroduction at a time is not a great idea. Another common tactic when dealing with VH is to support your gut lining. The only words of caution that I have for you here is that we've seen people trying to use supplements too early in the process of healing from SIBO to repair their gut lining, all while not understanding that even a little bit of continued overgrowth with SIBO can ferment some of the very things that we often use to heal the gut barriers. This is especially true with root-based demulcents like slippery elm and marshmallow root. While both can be soothing, they can also be fermented, and that fermentation might not be worth all the gas and bloat that they can cause if used too soon in the process. In Susan's case, she stayed away from the demulcents, but did find that the use of high-dose L-glutamine and zinc carnosine were helpful in her healing process. Now, while supplements like peppermint oil, butyrate, and L-glutamine can help, they're just band-aids if we don't address the brain-gut connection. And that's why it's so important to integrate gut calming therapies like clinical hypnotherapy along with proven functional medicine approaches. And this is precisely what the Mind Belly Blueprint does. It combines the best of functional medicine approaches along with hypnotherapy recordings to retrain your gut-brain connection for lasting relief. The blueprint focuses on sustainability, and we're not just masking symptoms with endless supplements. And what we have found is that our patients who combine mind-body techniques with functional treatment show faster symptom improvement, better food tolerance, reduced anxiety around eating, sustainable long-term results. The one key point that I hope you'll take from our chat today is that healing from SIBO isn't just about restriction. It's about restoration and retraining. To help you get started, I've created a free guide with my top 3 tips for reducing belly bloat and reclaiming your digestive confidence. You'll find the link in the description below. To begin working on relief, check out one of my other videos called Unlock Your Gut Health with the Power of RTT. I'll link it in the end screen, and you can also find it in the description below. And when you're ready to transform your gut health completely like Susan did, visit arthurwellness.com/work-with-us to learn more about the Mind Belly Blueprint program. The Blueprint is our step-by-step program to guide you through all of the basics of treatment for both the mind and the body. Remember, your gut's hypersensitivity isn't permanent. With the right approach, one that honors both your body and your mind, you can heal. Hit subscribe for more science-backed solutions to your gut health challenges, and let me know in the comments what resonated most with you today. Be well.